I'm Doug Ballinger. I'm Logan's dad, and this is another episode of Logan's Voice. If you've ever loved someone who battles addiction, you know this truth deep in your bones. Recovery isn't a straight line, it's a winding road with moments of hope and sometimes devastating setbacks. Maybe you've gotten that phone call or noticed the change in their voice, the missed appointments, the disappearing act, the lies that don't even bother to hide anymore. You start to piece it together and your heart sinks. They've relapsed. Now what? For many of us, parents, partners, siblings, friends, this moment brings a storm of emotions, anger, grief, fear, helplessness. We ask ourselves, what did I miss? Why did they go back? How do I even bring it up without pushing them away? I've been there. I've asked those same questions. And I've felt that ache in my chest when someone you love is slipping and there's nothing you can do to stop it. But I've also learned that something through my journey with Logan and through listening to countless others who walk this path daily, there's a way to talk to someone in relapse without judgment, without shame, and without losing the connection that might be their only lifeline. This episode is for anyone trying to navigate that impossible moment. We're going to talk about how to approach the conversation with empathy and honesty and hope. Because relapse doesn't mean it's over, it just means it's time to reach out again with open hands and an open heart. Whether this is your first time having this conversation or your 10th, whether your loved one is 15 or 50, you are not alone. This episode is for you. Let's talk about how we show up when the world tells us to walk away. First of all, start with love, not judgment. When we find out that someone we love has relapsed, our first reaction is often emotional, and understandably so. Fear kicks in, anger rises, grief creeps back in like it never left, and with all that swirling inside of us, it's easy to go into fix-it mode, or worse, accusation mode. But here's the hard truth. If we come in hot with blame or demands or disappointment, we're not going to get through to that person. We're only going to feed the addiction's favorite emotion, shame. And shame is a killer. Shame says you're worthless. Shame says you messed up again, so why bother trying? Shame says you'll never get clean, so just keep using. So when we speak to someone in relapse, the most powerful thing we can lead with is love. Not the kind of love that enables or excuses, but the kind that says, I still see you in there, I still believe in you, and I'm not giving up on you. And that love, spoken out loud, can pierce through the fog of guilt and self-hatred that often follows a relapse. Instead of, what the hell are you thinking? Try, hey, I'm worried about you. I know this disease is hard, and I'm not here to judge you. I just want you to know that you are not alone. It can feel unnatural at first, especially if you're angry or scared. But remember, addiction already beats them up every day. They don't need one more person telling them that they failed. They need something reminding them that they can still come back. And starting with love doesn't mean avoiding the truth. You can still speak honestly, but from a place of care, not condemnation. Try saying something like, I can tell something is going on. I don't need you to have all the answers right now. I just want to talk. I want to understand. When we create safety in a conversation, we open the door to honesty. And sometimes that's all they need, a chance to be seen and not shamed, a moment where they don't have to lie or hide, a breath of air in a world that feels suffocating. You don't have to have the perfect words. You just have to lead with your heart. And if they don't respond the way you hope, if they get defensive or shut down, that's okay. Love is a seed. Plant it anyway, because in their darkest hour, That's the voice they'll remember. The one that said, "You're still worthy, you're still loved." Speak to the person, not the addiction. When someone we love relapses, it's easy to feel like they're gone, like the addiction has swallowed them whole and left a stranger in their place. But I want you to hear this. They are still in there, beneath the chaos, the deception, the numbing, the defiance. Your person is still in there. The addiction might be in the driver's seat right now, but it hasn't erased who they are. And that's who we need to talk to. Addiction is loud. It screams lies. You'll never be anything more than this. You can't survive the pain without me. They've all given up on you. Why even try? So if we want to reach them, we have to speak with a voice that cuts through the noise. A voice that reminds them of their identity, their strength, their worth. This is where connection becomes your greatest tool. Instead of focusing on what they've done wrong, try reminding them of who they are. You can say something like, "I remember the version of you who was working so hard to stay clean." That person is still there, and I know how much strength it took to get that far. Or, "You're still the one who made me laugh with the dumb joke last Thanksgiving. I know things are hard right now, but the light in you, it's not gone." Speak to the part of them that wants to get better, even if it's buried deep. Speak to the memories, the moments of pride, the victories, even the small ones. People in relapse often feel like their past efforts don't matter anymore. Remind them they do, because every day sober counts. Every step forward matters, and nothing erases what they've already survived. Let them know you're not defined by your relapse. You're not a failure. You're a human being fighting one of the hardest battles there is. And speak their name. Look them in the eye if you can. Use you statements that affirm their identity. You matter to me. You are not alone. You are more than this addiction. You don't have to convince them of anything. Just reflect back the truth of who they are, especially when they can't see it themselves. For many in active addiction, the most dangerous lie isn't they can't recover, it's that they're not worth recovering. Be the voice that says otherwise. Be the mirror that shows him who they were and who they still can be. Because sometimes all it takes is one person who refuses to forget who you are, even when you've forgotten yourself. And remember, boundaries aren't betrayal. This might be the hardest truth for any parent, partner, or friend of someone in addiction. You can love someone deeply and still need to protect yourself. You can offer support without sacrificing your sanity. You can say no and still be saying, "I love you." When our loved one relapses, everything in us wants to rescue them, to take away the pain, solve the problem, and bring them back to safety. That's especially true if you're a parent. I know that ache. I know what it feels like to stare at the phone and wonder if this is the time they won't make it back. But here's what we have to remind ourselves. Love without boundaries isn't healthy. It isn't effective, and it isn't love. It's enabling. And enabling doesn't save them. It just delays the rock bottom they might need to reach to choose recovery again. So let's be clear on something. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They are powerful expressions of love and self-respect. They say, "I care about you, but I will not let this disease drag us both under." Maybe that means you won't give them money anymore, even if they say it's for food. You can't let them stay in your home while they're using. You won't answer calls at 3 a.m. unless they're ready to talk about recovery. And maybe it means telling them something like, "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, but I can't support the addiction. When you're ready to take a step back toward recovery, I will walk beside you. But until then, I have to step back for my own health. That doesn't make you cold or heartless. It makes you honest, healthy, and courageous. And boundaries also help protect other relationships in your life, your marriage, your job, your other children, your peace of mind. Addiction is a tornado. It doesn't just destroy the person at the center, it tears through every part of their life and yours if you let it. But a boundary is like a storm shelter. It gives you space to stay grounded while the chaos rages, and in time, it may give your loved one the space they need to realize that the addiction isn't sustainable, that their choices have consequences, and that help is available but not unconditional. And if you're struggling to hold a boundary, that's okay. You're human. It's not easy, and you can reset. You can reframe. You can remind yourself that boundaries are a form of tough grace, a way of loving that says, I will always love you, but I will no longer lie to myself or cover for this disease. Boundaries give everyone a better chance because they make room for clarity, for accountability, and for the possibility of real change. So if you had to draw that line, or if you're thinking about it and you're scared that they'll hate you or shut you out, remember this. You're not pushing them away. You're giving them a chance to choose life. And that is love in its most courageous form. Let's talk about offering hope and action. By the time someone relapses, they're often deep in shame, fear, and emotional exhaustion. Their self-worth is in pieces. The addiction has a tight grip again. And from where they're sitting, the climb back to recovery can feel impossibly far. So, while it's powerful to say, I believe in you, words alone might not feel like enough in that moment. What they often need, what can truly make a difference, is hope with legs. Not just encouragement, but a next step, a path, a hand to hold while they take it. Because for someone in active addiction, even a simple decision like calling a treatment center or walking into a meeting can feel like moving a mountain. So offer hope, yes, but make it tangible. Here's what that might sound like. You don't have to do this alone. If you're ready to talk to someone, I'll go with you. There's a meeting tonight a few blocks from here. I can drive you. Let's call this recovery center together. Just talk to them. You don't have to commit to anything yet. Even if you're not ready for a full program, there are harm reduction options. We can talk about those too. What you're doing is shifting the moment from overwhelming to doable. You're reducing the noise and narrowing the focus to one small step. That first step might not lead to a full transformation, but it's a crack in the armor of hopelessness. And sometimes all it takes is one little crack for the light to start getting back in. Now, it's important to remember, this doesn't mean dragging them somewhere against their will. It doesn't mean signing them up for treatment without their consent or doing the work for them. That's not sustainable, and it's not recovery. But what you can do is remove barriers, offer guidance, hold space, be ready. Sometimes the conversation ends with them saying no. But now they know that when they are ready, you are someone they can call. And let's be real. Sometimes they'll say yes and still relapse again or back out at the last minute. That's part of the cycle. It's messy, it's maddening, but it doesn't mean your offer was wasted. It means they're still in the battle, and so are you. And here's something else. Offering action isn't just about them, it's about you too. Because when you take that step with them, whether it's making a call, finding a meeting, or just sitting in the same room while they cry, you're breaking the isolation that addiction feeds on. You're showing them what community looks like, what love looks like, what hope feels like when it's real and present. And you're reminding yourself that even in the darkest moments, You still have a voice. You still have a role. And what you say, what you do, might just be the thing that helps them take their next breath. But what if they say no? Let's talk about the hardest outcome of all. When you do everything right, you stay calm, you lead with love, you speak truthfully and gently, you offer hope, you offer help, and they still say no. They shut down, they get defensive, they tell you to mind your business, or they say what hurts the most: I don't want help. And it wrecks you. Because for a brief moment, you felt hope, you saw a sliver of the person you love, you opened yourself up, made yourself vulnerable, and it feels like they slammed the door in your face. And if you're here right now, if you've had this conversation and been met with silence or anger, I want you to hear this clearly. Their no is not a reflection of your failure, it's a symptom of their disease. Addiction is cunning. It convinces people that it's safer than healing, that numbing is easier than facing life, that using is the only way to survive. And when someone says no to help, what they're really saying is, I don't believe I'm worth saving. I don't think I can handle life without the drug. I'm terrified of the pain that comes with feeling again. So what do you do with that? You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't stop loving them. You leave the door open. You say something like, I hear you. I wish you were ready now, but I'll be here when you are. I'm going to keep loving you. Nothing you say or do is going to change that. When you decide you want help, whenever that is, I'll be right here. You let them know that your love is not conditional on their choices, but your boundaries are. You give them the dignity of deciding for themselves and the security of knowing that if they ever want to come back to the light, they don't have to do it alone. And here's the truth that gives me hope, even on the hardest days. Most people in recovery can tell you about the moment they finally said yes. But almost all of them will also tell you about the people who kept showing up when they were still saying no. So even if they don't respond the way you hope today, your words, your presence, your love, that stays with them. It becomes a voice in the silence, a crack in the wall, a seed in frozen ground. You might not get a breakthrough in this moment, but you've planted something that might just bloom when you're not looking. And sometimes that's the most powerful kind of hope there is. Let's talk about what we all hope for, the moment they say yes. Maybe it's quiet and tentative. Maybe it's full of emotion. Maybe they whisper, okay, I want help. That moment can take your breath away. It can feel like a door swinging open after being locked for years. But here's the truth about that yes. It's just the beginning. Recovery isn't a destination, it's a process. And after the yes, there's usually fear, hesitation, and 1,000 unanswered questions for them. That's where your support can make all the difference. Here's how you can respond when they say yes. Stay calm and be grounded. You might want to cheer, cry, or breathe a huge sigh of relief, and that's okay. But they may be feeling fragile, uncertain, or overwhelmed. So instead of rushing in with, great, here's the plan, try, thank you for trusting me. We'll take this one step at a time. Let the moment be about connection, not control. You're not their savior. You're their support. And act swiftly, but gently. When they say yes, the window of willingness can be short. Fear, withdrawal, or second thoughts might set in quickly. That means taking action without delay, but not in a way that overwhelms. If they're ready for treatment, call immediately. If you've already researched options ahead of time, which I always recommend, now is the time to move. Say, let's make that call together now. I'll stay with you through it. If treatment isn't available right away, consider calling harm reduction or crisis support resources. helping them get to a recovery meeting, connecting them with a peer in recovery. Peer support is often very strong. Help them clean up, eat, or just breathe. And let them lead, but don't disappear. Their recovery is theirs, not yours. Let them choose the path that feels right to them, as long as it's safe and rooted in healing. But also, don't vanish. Stay present, keep checking in. Say, I'm proud of you for taking this step. Let me know how I can help keep supporting you. Sometimes that means helping with rides, food, or just being available to talk when they feel like giving up. And celebrate the step, not the outcome. This is important. Saying yes to recovery is a huge win, even if it's not their last relapse, or the perfect program, or the smoothest path. Don't tie your emotional well-being to their success or failure. Celebrate the courage it took to say yes at all. Tell them, I'm proud of you, not for being perfect, but for choosing life today. That kind of affirmation fuels forward momentum. It makes them feel human again, and it builds trust. And prepare for the work ahead. Recovery isn't linear. There will always be hard days, doubts, and maybe setbacks. Your role isn't to carry them, it's to walk beside them. Help them find tools, a counselor or a sponsor, a local meeting, a supportive online or in-person community, a family support group for you as well. When they see you invest in your growth, it models self-care and strength. And when they say yes, it's sacred. It means they've cracked open the door to healing. Don't waste time. Don't overload them, and don't stop believing in them, especially when they don't yet believe in themselves. That yes might be shaky. It might not lead to forever recovery on the first try, but it's real. It matters, and it could be the beginning of everything. So if they say yes, meet them with love, with action, and with the quiet promise, you are not alone. I've had these conversations with Logan more than once. I've looked my son in the eyes and asked if he was ready. I've watched him wrestle with the part of himself that wanted to live and the part that just couldn't carry the weight anymore. There were times he said no, times he got angry, times he told me he had it under control. And there were also times, beautiful, fragile times, when he said yes. Yes, he'd go to treatment. Yes, he was ready. Yes, he wanted to try. And I held on to that hope like it was the last light in a dark tunnel. But I also watched him change his mind, walk it back, get scared, get pulled under again. I want you to hear me when I say this. Relapse is a risk, but delay is a danger. Because all it took is one dose, one moment, one illicit dose laced with a poison he didn't see coming. And every future conversation was gone. I never got to hear him say yes again. I never got to see him walk out of the rehab and come back to life. I never got the redemption story I prayed so hard for. Logan's story ended not because he didn't want help, but because this epidemic is unforgiving. It doesn't wait for perfect timing, and it doesn't give second chances forever. It steals, it ends, it poisons. That's why this conversation matters so much. Because your loved one might still be here. They might still have another yes inside of them. And you might be the person who helps them say it out loud. So talk to them, even if they push back, even if they lie, even if they say no again and again. Because the next time they say yes could be the moment that saves their life. And they've already said yes. Help them take the step now. Don't wait. Don't think you have time. We don't always get tomorrow. I didn't. Logan didn't. So if this episode helps one parent have a conversation that opens the door to recovery, if it helps one friend speak the truth through the fog of addiction, if it helps one child say, Dad, I need help, and get it in time, then maybe that's how we keep turning this pain into purpose. If this message moved you, or if you want to learn more about Logan and the legacy we're building in his honor, read Logan's story, A Father's Fight Against the Fentanyl Crisis. Listen to more episodes of Logan's Voice, the podcast. Wear the message with pride from Logan's Swag Shop, because awareness starts with visibility, and the message makes a difference. All of it, our story, our fight, our hope, lives at logansvoice.com. Together, let's keep the conversation going. Let's save lives with truth, compassion, and action. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent anymore.